Hey guys, it's Jeremy with Dragon's Breath Glassworks. I wanted to take just a second and answer a question that I had on one of my other videos about why I prefer side fire furnaces over top fire, or why I dislike top fire in general. There's a few schools of thought on which is better, but really the way I lean is that side fire is 99% of the time always better than a top fire. And really, the main reason for me is the overall heat in your furnace versus the fuel expense. When you have a top fire, your burner head and your point of ignition are going to be further away from the surface of your glass at all times compared to a side fire. And that is going to mean you are going to run your furnace hotter and use more fuel just to maintain the glass temperature at the same level. And it doesn't seem like it should be a big difference, but it really is. I'll notice a 10 to 15% difference in fuel consumption on a top fire versus a side fire. Uh, Another big thing to consider is the longevity of your burner head on a top fire. When you have a top fire, heat is going to go back up into that burner no matter what you do. Heat rises. And even if you vent that excess heat out of your door by leaving it open or leaving it cracked, it still is going to go up, and you're still going to get some back pressure up against that burner head. And that's not good for the burner head over time. How much time you're going to lose, how much life you're going to lose off that burner head, that is up for debate, but it is definitely something to consider. The advantage of a side fire is that heat is going to come across the um, the surface of the glass, and then if you've got your burner head slightly angled, you'll actually get this sort of vortex that wraps around the crucible, or around the crown rather, uh, of your furnace. Especially if your crown is a dome and not a square, you're going to get even more of that vortex running up, and that's going to just pull that heat up and out a chimney. And the advantages to a center top chimney, or even an offset chimney on the top of your furnace, is that you can then build chambers over top of that for other purposes. I've had garages on top of my furnace. I've had annealers built in top just using the exhaust heat of the furnace. And if you're building a portable unit or something that's going to go across the country with you, or you might be blowing in places without reliable electricity, if you build a chimney into a annealer and use a flue system to control exactly how much of that heat gets into that versus is then released out into the air, you can build a really reliable annealer up there, or again, a garage or a pipe warmer. If you want to make the most fuel efficient furnace that you can build a recuperator into it if you've got a top fire. A lot easier than you can, or rather, excuse me, you can build a recuperator into it if you have a side fire rather than if you have a top fire. It's possible to build a recuperator into a top fire. It's just really awkward and weird and hard to do. You can put a chimney in a top fire at the top of the crown, but again, it's not as efficient. Another thing to consider is if you're using your furnace as a glory hole, if you're using one system, if you're working in the Roman style, and you've got that door open and it's a top fire, a lot of that heat's going to kick right out into your face, and there's no way around that. If you have a side fire, depending on how you've angled your burner head, you can direct that heat again as a vortex up the furnace and not so much of it coming out at your face. Again, something kind of minor, but all of these things add up to making a side fire, in my opinion, just better all around. The one and only exception to that might be if you're doing cane or marini work or anything on a pastorelli where you are heating up the glass inside the furnace as opposed to a glory hole. Having that top fire putting heat directly down on top of your plate, that could be an advantage. That way you are not going to have to heat up one side, come out, flip your pastorelli around, and then heat up the other side. So that's something to keep in mind. In theory, if you're using your furnace as a casting furnace and you're running it in general a much hotter furnace anyway, then you get that heat straight down on the surface of the glass. That can be good. So really, Those are, I guess, the two exceptions to the rule. But for me, 99% of the time, a side fire is always going to be better. Hopefully that answered that question. If you have any others, please leave a comment. I will put a link to a couple other videos over here somewhere. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. We broke the 100 subscriber mark, so thank you very much for that. And I'll be doing some more demos this weekend that I'll try to get recorded and posted during the week. Thanks a lot. I hope you have a great day.